Um, so we have some cybersecurity workshops that are taught by Tarek from Ember Technologies. Those are going to be done on Wednesdays, and so tomorrow will be done on Wednesday at 3 p.m. We also have another presentation on this Thursday, May 14th, which is adjusting your supply chain. And that is also from 3 to 4 p.m. And it will help you assess if your supply chain is optimal if and if that optimization can be adjusted in any sort of way, or how you can utilize that to really assist your business. All right, so we'll just go ahead and get started and jump right on in. This is Stop the Marketing Shout. So the first thing to start off with, and if you've taken a workshop from me before, this is how we start every single presentation, and it is to know your customers. So knowing your customers is really essential, because not only knowing them on a personal level, your reoccurring customers, but knowing your target market and knowing what they look like, kind of your general demographics, as well as the psychographics, kind of the more intimate parts about what they think, what their motivations are, and why they're buying your product or service because of that. First off, I always like to start off with kind of a target market avatar. So creating a target market avatar is something that you can do to help yourself kind of get in the mindset of your consumer a little bit more, so it's a little bit less abstract about just these general demographic characteristics or these general psychographic information, anything like that. By creating kind of a persona, or you could do what's shown on the right hand side of the screen here, which is Sally the solopreneur. And it has kind of some general information about her, as in what her age might be, her marital status, where she lives, her earnings, her time in business. But that could also include more information. So that could include something about what her motivations are, why she's choosing to be an entrepreneur, and information like that. So that's just one example of kind of this avatar. They have a ton of avatar type of worksheets that you can take and create online. There isn't one necessarily that I would particularly recommend, simply because doing several of them can get you a more well-rounded sort of perspective on that. And also, it's all about you being able to get your head around who the customer is. And so whatever is going to assist you in doing that the most is going to be what's most beneficial, because once you have that down and once you can get inside of the mind of the consumer, then you're able to do more for your marketing to help streamline that process. So some of the things that having a target market avatar can do will be to help you with your content marketing, knowing what to create, what kind of things people are going to enjoy. It's going to help you streamline your paid traffic. So if you're doing ads on social media, Facebook, anything like that, this is going to help you both narrow by demographics, by their interests, as well as just knowing what kind of information, what images, what copy, all that should go into the ad to get the best bang for your buck. It will also assist you in product creation. This is something that a lot of companies are kind of coming to terms with and coming right up to the nose with right now, because a lot of products are either not essential or not able to be distributed or managed in this COVID-19 time. And so because of that, they're looking towards creating other products, other services, shifting those products and services. Knowing who your customer is, where they are, how they're interacting can be very beneficial for helping you to create those kinds of solutions. Copywriting, like I said earlier, knowing what you're going to write for them, what's going to grab their attention, as well as email marketing, making sure that you're creating something that is targeted towards them and they're not going to see as just a spammy sort of thing that they're getting. Let's look now at how customer behavior has been changing through this COVID-19 time, because obviously it has, and customers are having to adapt to this as well in how they're buying products, how they're spending their money, what their expectations are, and what their consumer confidence is in the economy. So I want to take two views. One, I want to look worldwide, because one, we have people who and clients who are interested in or are currently dealing worldwide on an international scale. But for other people, this may be something that you are wanting to look into. Your products may be, as we'll see as we go through this, some products are in much, much, much higher demand in other parts of the world where they're not here. And so that could be something you potentially want to look into. So just some general trends to start off with. Changing consumer behavior worldwide, customers have shifted toward a digital format, as we have with these workshops and everything, but that shift doesn't come close to offsetting the overall reduction in spending. So there has been a vast reduction in spending, and although online options are available, it doesn't bridge that gap. So there still is a vast reduction in spending. Customers are also trying new brands when they use those new brands, they're more likely to stick with them. This is something I really want to emphasize, especially to small business owners, is that you cannot necessarily rely on the loyalty that you've built previously, because customers are having to seek out some alternatives or other solutions right now. And, path of least resistance, if they're currently using it, the ball may just get rolling and they may continue to use that. We'll discuss some options to make sure to get yourself out in front of them, especially if you are a business where nobody in your industry can really operate at the moment or is just starting to operate again. Then you want to make sure that you're out in front of those customers, reminding your previous customers that you're still there, making that connection with them. That way they're more likely to have you top of mind and go back to your product and your service. Additionally, consumer optimism has fallen across the Americas and Europe since mid-March, while most Asian countries have maintained or increased their level of optimism. These stats are all coming from a series of continued studies from McKinsey, or G. McKinsey, because they've been doing every couple weeks new studies, different worldwide, national, international, everything like that. This study in particular is from 2 weeks ago, but it was the most recent study, so there should be another one coming up pretty soon. But so these projections were for based off their previous consumer behavior, as well as future projections up until this point. So unfortunately, when things change every day, no matter how relevant your information is, it's just not relevant enough. So that's why it's also important to continue researching these things for yourself and make sure you're staying up to date on the changing consumer behavior and what they're looking for. I want to look over a few graphs now as well. If you are somebody where your eyes glaze over when you look at charts and graphs, I'm right there with you sometimes. So I'll try to do my best to really pull the key points from these and discuss those a little bit. But while we're looking at this is optimism and anticipated spending, and it shows the correlation between the two. So you see along the bottom, you have on the left-hand side, more households planning to decrease their spending versus those who are looking to increase their household spending. And then on the vertical axis, you have less optimistic to more optimistic. So as you can see, the United States is kind of right in the middle there, on a little bit less on the spending side of things, but we tend to be moderately optimistic, but more likely to decrease our spending because of that consumer cautiousness that we tend to have. Whereas on the other hand side of things, we have places like Nigeria, Indonesia, where they're far more optimistic and they're far more likely to increase their spending during this time. And that goes back to other factors of the need of luxury items versus essential items and how those play into those various countries and their economies. Globally, consumers are shifting their time away from work and toward digital and video entertainment. So this graph is showing the expected change in time allocation over the next 2 weeks, or how people are spending their time in the next 2 weeks. So if we look at the left-hand column, that's going to be the US. And then we're spending more time on live news, reading news online. We're spending less time on reading print news. Looking at content, we're spending more time on movies, live TV, video content, or reading, as well as spending more time texting, social media, not quite as much on video games. Spending a lot more time cooking at home, doing home improvement things, less time exercising or doing meditation. And then work, we're spending less time learning or remotely learning, and spending overall less time working. A lot of these things are what you would anticipate from the regulations that have come about, but it's good to look at it and have it down. The reason why we're looking at where people are spending their time is because you want to know where their eyes are, because you want your ads and your marketing to be where their eyes already are. If you can place your ads in somewhere where it's really going to appeal to your target market, you're going to find a lot more success doing that than just kind of trying to throw a general net and hoping that it catches something. All right, so moving on, we have adoption of digital and low-touch activities since COVID-19 has started. So this is talking about how many people have adopted new technologies, and it's two parts. It's one, the color shows how many people are increasing their use of it and how much use they're increasing. And if they have a little star in that box, that means that at least half of the increased traffic to that particular platform has been completely new users who haven't tried the product before. So looking in the US, we have a large uptake of online streaming, playing online games, restaurant and grocery delivery, as well as restaurant curbside pickup and store curbside pickup. Almost half of those users of those are brand new to the game. I know that I hadn't done either before, and now I'm frequently doing both. Additionally, if you're looking at remote learning for the children that's also something that has gone up a lot as well. We look at telemedicine, physical and both mental, those have all gone up as well. So these are all things to keep in mind. Once again, while you may not be able to advertise on all of these platforms, knowing where your customers are spending their time can help you go through a train of thought. Because if somebody is looking for telemedicine for mental health, as over 50% of 50% of the uptake has been in new users, then they're going to be trying to research where they can get this from, where they're going to be researching through Googling it. They're going to be researching through looking for reviews online. And so if you have a product or service that's related to that, know how they're going to be searching for these other products and then place your ad there as well, because they're going to be having some through traffic to there. Especially if you are one of these businesses, just walking through the process of where all the places customers are clicking before they're getting to their desired end result. All right, so let's narrow in a little bit more to talk about just the changing consumer behavior in the United States. So discretionary spending is starting to rebound now. And food, alcohol, pet care, entertainment, skincare, and makeup are all leading the charge in that. People are looking for things to do, as well as just kind of looking for some of those normalcies from before restrictions came on. Consumers intend to increase their online shopping in core household categories, which is a shift that's been driven primarily by millennials and higher income consumers. So people are increasing their online shopping, especially for just things to go inside their house. As you'll see, some of these trends are things that are going to stick after all the regulations are lifted as people find more convenience in them. And then some of them are going to be things that that fade away because consumers have tried it and they realize that they don't prefer it. So consumers who have shifted to new brands or retailers largely intend to stick with them, and almost 2/3 of consumers indicate an intent to continue. So talked about this on the global scale. I wanted to reemphasize it on the United States scale. You cannot rely on your consumer loyalty from before all the restrictions began, because they're going to be finding other products, they're going to be finding other services, whether they're a direct compromise for them or not, or a direct substitute for them. They may be competition for you either way. So Additionally, consumers exhibit a strong intent to continue digital activity replacements such as telemedicine and remote learning, digital pastimes like online streaming and fitness, and physical activities like spending time outside and having digitally enabled exercise machines. So there are some of these things that we've realized we enjoy doing in our homes. We enjoy the convenience of having that online. We'll look at a few other things where we don't enjoy that convenience so much, or we don't prefer it. So with go-to brands and retailers, up to 19% of Americans have switched brands or retailers due to COVID-19, with many switching to store brands and shopping for new websites for basics. And then more than half of these 19% of Americans expect to maintain their choice after COVID-19. Larger brands who have that really optimized supply chain where they're making sure they can get their products there on time at a reasonable price and it's always in front of consumers, they're doing better. Once again, I would highly recommend that the workshop that we have going on Thursday from 3 to 4, we're just going to discuss supply chain, how you can optimize that. Consumers are also tending toward in-person activities. So consumers, while I'm sure we all have friends and family that are wanting to go back to, the way things were, consumers are expecting to reduce many high traffic in-person activities in the future. So that includes international travel. Going to the mall is decreasing significantly, as well as going to concerts or events. So as far as digital and low-touch activities, as consumers have adopted or increased digital and low-touch behaviors, there's a broad range of intents to continue. So we have 3 categories. We have works for now, accelerated shifts, and potentially here to stay. Works for now are activities where we don't prefer the substitute, but it's all we have. For some people, that's going to be video conferencing. For other people, it may be online, ordering their groceries online. Accelerated shifts, that's going to be, it was probably going to come into fashion or become trendy or popular at some point, but this just sped it up. And so we'll see if it sticks around. And then the potentially here to stay is going to be things, just like it says, consumers found that they really enjoy it and they really like it, they're going to stick with it. Let's see. So just talk about that real quick here. We have, for the US, for works for now, telemedicine, about half of users intend to continue with telemedicine. Remote learning, 40% of people, store curbside pickup, 41% of people intend to continue with that. Restaurant curbside pickup, a lot less at 30%. People enjoy the experience of going and sitting in a restaurant. Professional video conferencing, about 42%, and professional video chatting, about 41%. As well as restaurant delivery, which is far lower. That's at the, it only went up by about 27%. Only 35% of people intend to continue that. Accelerated shifts, we're looking at telemedicine, especially for the mental health side of things, grocery delivery, remote learning, online fitness. Those are all things that people intend to continue or have a moderate intent to continue. With a high intent to continue, TikTok. It's a newer social media platform. We'll be discussing that a little bit later on. It may be something to look at for your business as it is rising and there are a few marketers who are on there. Buying online for in-store pickup, digital exercise machines, meal kit delivery, wellness apps. Watching esports is something that 58% of people intend to continue. Playing online games, in-store self-checkout, quick service, restaurant drive-through, online streaming, and time spent outdoors. So looking past COVID-19, consumers expect to reduce in-person activities. And so this is just kind of looking at what are consumers anticipating that they will do once all the restrictions are lifted. Shopping online, people intend to increase their online shopping. So if you're somebody who has the capability, if you're a business that has the capability to shop online, now is the time to get your e-commerce set up and to really refine that. And then we also have information for shopping in physical grocery stores. People do intend to shop more in physical grocery stores. They do enjoy that experience. And so then we're also looking at shopping in physical stores that are not grocery stores. That's remained constant. People intend to do kind of the same amount of shopping in physical stores, but keeping in mind too that this is their intent. And when you compare that to their intent to decrease their spending, you're likely to get less people coming into those brick and mortar stores. Domestic travel is down. Going to movies, concerts, and other events is down. International travel especially is down. Going to the mall has decreased significantly. And so just keeping in mind that for some of these things that may be beneficial for your business. If you have a direct competitor who's in the mall, then that could be something that you see as an opportunity for your business to allow your customers easier access, a better opportunity, anything like that, to be able to swoop in there and take a little bit more of that market share. We do have a question in the chat, and it says it's wondering if there will be availability for the slides after the webinar. If you would like the slides to be sent to you, I had my email at the beginning, and I'll have my email at the end of the presentation as well. Feel free to email me, let me know that you'd like the slides, and I'll go ahead and send them out to you. Okay. All right, so next, after you have looked at some of this information, now you want to make sure you know what you're saying, because you can know where your customers are and you can position yourself to be in front of them, but if you don't have anything to say, then they're not going to be listening to you. So I recommend doing this by creating a value proposition. A value proposition is a very short statement that says exactly what your business is about in the most simple language possible. So first off, what you want to do is you want to identify all the benefits that your product offers. These are going to be things that are a little bit easier to come up with. So they're going to be things like if it's a time-saving thing, then the benefit is saving you time. As it starts to get a little bit more abstract, what makes these benefits valuable? Why is saving somebody time a valuable thing for them? Well, because they have other things to be doing with their time. Once you know who your customer avatar is, you know, okay, here's likely the things that they're going to be doing with this time that they save. And that's what makes it valuable to them. It's not just the fact that they have more time, because if you don't have something to fill that time with. Identify your customer's main problem then. So after you've got done analyzing your business, then you want to analyze your customer and connect the two. So what's your customer's main problem? And then connect the value to your buyer's problem. So I kind of discussed that when I said, why are you saving them time? What are they doing with that time that you're saving them? And then finally, once you have a product that solves their problems and you know why it's valuable to them, then you can begin to position yourself to differentiate yourself based off of this value that you provide. Do you provide the value better than other competitors? Do you provide the value in a more efficient way, a higher quality way? What sets you apart? So once you identify what you're saying, then you can begin to refine that. So you want to make sure to start small with your marketing and with your advertising. Oftentimes people try to bite off more than they can chew, and then it is vast and sometimes abstract and overwhelming. So start with one thing. And then after you've picked the one platform you're going to market on, the one ad you're going to run, starting small with something, make it as good as you can. So tighten up your copywriting. You do not have to convey the entire concept of your business in one advertisement. If you're targeting your market very specifically, you should really only be marketing one product even. There's something known as brand advertising or awareness advertising, which is something where you just want people to kind of know the name of your business in general. But that is a highly expensive process to undertake, and often doesn't yield the returns that you're looking for unless you are a major corporation. So advertise a specific product, a specific service to a specific audience that you specify. That leads right into tailoring your content, so that way it's something that they want to see, it's an image they want to see, it's a value that speaks directly to them. And then check your analytics. So after you've ran the ad, after you've sent it out, compare it to what your conversion rate has been, how much money those conversions are earning you compared to how much the ads are costing you. Are you losing money on the ads in the long run? Are the customers likely to buy more and more and more over their lifetime, or is it a one-time purchase and then that's it? Looking at that and comparing how much you're making versus how much you're spending is going to allow you to know if you are truly getting the best bang for your buck out of your marketing. Let's talk briefly about how to write good copy, because this can seem like a very elusive and difficult thing that only the best wordsmiths can do. But I like this quote from William Strunk, and it says, "A sentence should contain no unnecessary words, a paragraph no unnecessary sentences, for the same reason that a drawing should have no unnecessary lines and a machine no unnecessary parts. This requires that the writer makes all his sentences, or this requires not that the writer makes all his sentences short, or that he avoid all detail and treat his subjects only in outline, but that every word tell." So this isn't saying, when I say that you want to tighten up your copy or you want to reduce that, and copywriting is just what's the words on your advertisements. When I say that you want to tighten that up and make it really clean, that doesn't mean that you should omit things that are important or valuable. I have a short guide here on the next slide to discuss different copywriting suggestions. So my first tip is going to be to avoid hyperbole or fancy words. You know the value of your product and service, and you want to tell everybody about it. And you want to make sure you're conveying to them how amazing your product and service is. So we have a tendency to want to overdo it too much, just simply because we're afraid that they may not catch how good the product is. But when you're writing copy, one of the most difficult things to do is to get consumers to trust you with just a short phrase, short wording, anything like that. And it takes real skill to be able to do that, and practice to be able to do that. One of the ways you can do that, though, is by avoiding hyperbole. Don't exaggerate your claims, as well as steer clear of fancy words. Plain language is the best language. And we've all been taught style in our writing classes from elementary on. And but when you're talking about copywriting, the best copywriting lacks style to some degree, because it should be read across the board to convey information. It's informational. Another suggestion is to put the reader first. Remember your customer. Remember who you're writing this to. The word "you" is one of the most valuable in the human language, and so in any language, and that conveys. It catches people's attentions. We're selfish people at times, and especially consumers are shopping for themselves. They want to see that word "you" often. Work from an outline. If you have gone through kind of the previous steps, if you know who your customer is, if you know what you want to talk about, then it's going to be a lot easier to create an outline for yourself, even if it's just a few bullet points of, here are the things that I want to convey. When I'm writing copy, I like to convey what's the number one piece of information I want them to walk away with, and what's the feeling I want them to walk away with, and what's the action I want them to do. So 3 things: information, feeling, action, and then don't try to fit anything else in there. Keeping a tight outline will help you keep tight copy as well. Forget the descriptors. Forget the adjectives, the things that tell them how very, very good your product is. Stick with nouns and verbs that convey the information. I really like this ad on the right here for Harry's. It says, subscribe to a shave plan. Get Harry's delivered to your door for less than $2 per blade. Start with a trial set, free shopping or free shipping. They didn't bother to say, we have the sharpest blades, we have the best blades, we have, they just told you exactly what the product was. And then they have the start trial button that allows you to immediately have an action. So they gave you information. They have a shave plan. It's $2 per blade. The feeling is you trust them because they're not trying to sell you on anything necessarily. They're not trying to go forward and, make their language really flowery to try and sell you on their products. They just told you, we have razors, they're $2, this is what it is. And I'm not saying that's necessarily the best approach for everybody, but keeping your copy really tight like that will really help. And then finally, revise and rewrite. Even if you have a product or a final copy product that you think, you know what, this is really good wording, I like this, rewrite a different version of it and a different version of it and a different version of it, and do 4 or 5 different versions of it. And then see how you can mix them, how you can match them, what works best if you like one better than the other. And then I would even suggest, if you have the time, walk away from it, give yourself a bit of time away from it, and then come back. And when you come back, you kind of have fresh eyes on it. Show somebody else, ask them what they think about it. While it's just a few words, taking that time to put in the extra effort to it is going to make all that much difference, because just those few words is what's going to have to convince potential customers and current customers to buy that product. This is another piece of copy that I really like. It is a billboard for snow slopes, and it says 1 star, too advanced. I've heard Snowbird is a tough mountain, but this is ridiculous. It felt like every trail was a steep chute or littered with tree wells. How's anybody supposed to ride that? Not fun. So what they did was they took all their negative reviews and then they made it into an advertising campaign. I think that, one, the review happened to be written with really tight copy. And it shows and tells you kind of some of the different characteristics of it, that it is a tough mountain. It's a little edgy. It inspires that challenge in somebody, as well as just being really simple. And the 1 star, who advertises themselves as a 1 star? It's something that's a little bit edgier. All right, next, making sure you're trying something new. So if you haven't had success with your current marketing, look at some other options. Get outside your kind of bubble, brainstorm some things that are kind of crazy, and then reel it back into reality a little bit from there. But don't restrict yourself right from the beginning. I'll go through some different options for you for different marketing campaigns you can do. So starting off with different things you can do through social media. First off, use social media, have social media. I highly suggest you have at least 1 or 2 social media sites that you have for your business, because that helps to produce some legitimacy for your business as people are searching for it, as well as giving your customers an opportunity to share and connect with you on there. It is worth noting that simply having social media isn't really a proactive marketing campaign. Because it's not meant to go out and get new prospects. Having social media is meant to connect with your current prospects, keep them up to date. And especially now during this time where businesses are constantly changing, and the environment around business is constantly changing, being able to keep people up to date about what services you're offering is just a very invaluable thing. So if you don't currently have social media, I would highly suggest doing that. But additionally, you can utilize social media to reach out a little bit more. So you can network in Facebook groups that are relevant to your business. And you have to make sure you're following the rules of the Facebook groups, you get admitted and everything like that. But that can be really great for creating connections, as well as creating other industry partners and industry friends, where you can share information back and forth. You can like each other's posts and such, and then share consumers and customers as well. You can create a YouTube video. Simply creating a YouTube video doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be found. So that's also a thing you can use social media for, to kind of promote that and get that out in front of people. But creating the video can be something where you can convey information about your product, you can convey expertise about the industry, and being able to do that, being able to convey that, establishes you as an information source for people and increases their trust in you. You can run a social media ad. So that can be, you can run a Facebook ad, you can run an ad on Instagram, and do all these things to be able to kind of get your name out there a little bit more proactively as well, get your product out there proactively, as well as you can host a Twitter chat. So this is a great way to engage people, making sure you're having engaging topics and questions where you're not trying to necessarily sell them on anything, but you want their opinion, because people always want to give their opinion, their story, their life experience, anything like that. Twitter is a great platform to do that through. Video communication. So we now have the opportunity to market through video communication. It's unclear right now how this is going to stick around kind of once restrictions are lifted, if people are going to continue utilizing that. But it will, having this available now, or even just utilizing this now, is going to be very beneficial for your business. So you can host a free training through either, you can do this on social media through a couple-minute video, or you can do it, if it's a longer training, you can do it through something like Zoom or a different platform, maybe Teams, Skype, something like that. You can attend a meeting or a networking event to increase your sphere of influence, increase the people that you know, your connections, everything like that. Speak at an event. Once again, this will be obviously not a in-person event at the current time, but being able to do things over Zoom, it's even more accessible than ever to be able to share information with people, because we are so instantly connected through video calls like this. So you can speak at an event, you can host your own event and get people to come speak with you, especially if you know industry leaders, if you know people who are influential, or people who just have really good ideas. Then that can be something that can be really beneficial to put in front of your consumer base and your potential consumers, because it will help to establish you once again as a source of information for them that they're going to continuously go back to, that establishes a lot of trust. And finally, you can interview others. This can be done as a kind of interview that you then write about. And so that's maybe a social media post, a blog post. It can be something that's on your website, or it can be turned into a video format. So it can be something that you put on social media, something you put on YouTube, something you do as a live interview. Maybe you allow your consumers to interview the person after you, or to ask questions throughout the interview, so it's a little bit more interactive, and they can engage with it more. That's also an option. So then some other options for marketing are going to, and marketing initiatives are going to be to send notes to past clients, or to your current clients who you're just not able to engage with at the current moment. This is going to be something that's really invaluable for continuing to tap into that consumer loyalty. And so that can be one of those things that reminds consumers, hey, we're still here. We'll be up and going now, soon, after this blows over. Keeping people honestly informed about your business is something that's really valuable for creating that trust as well. And so maybe they are looking to do some sort of home renovations or something, and you're not currently able to supply that to them for one reason or another. Letting them know when you anticipate being able to do that, letting them know that it's still kind of up in the air, or you're flexible on it, or you can do part of it, or letting them have that information is going to be really valuable, as well as just being hey, thanks for being our customer. We value you. Remember, we're still here. We're still up and going. Emailing your subscriber list. A lot of clients that I've talked to have a huge list with a bunch of emails and a bunch of names, and they do nothing with it. That is such a valuable resource. Use a email marketing service to help organize all that for you, and then send out some emails with a reasonable consistency. Don't get spammy or anything, but people are looking for entertainment now. Provide them with something that is an interesting read, or something that's entertaining, or lets them know that your website is now up and running. Any of that information can be really valuable and beneficial for them. Reach out to local media. Local media right now is really looking for those feel-good stories. If you are a business that has been able to contribute in some way financially with your product, service, through helping others, anything like that, let them know about it. Get some of that PR from it, because they're really looking for those feel-good stories right now. You can also begin writing blog posts to establish, once again, information center, or to just kind of let people know, have an in on everything, let people have a story behind the business. Be more of a lifestyle blog, but that supports the business. That's another trend that's starting to arise from some businesses. And then finally, you can guest posts on other websites to tap into their credentials, to tap into their consumer network. This is TikTok, the social media platform that I was telling you about earlier, that's kind of gaining some traction right now. And I wanted to talk on this because COVID-19 has been a time where TikTok has skyrocketed. And so it may be worth looking into for some businesses. What TikTok is it's started in China, and it's a social networking service that's used to create short videos. These videos often have to do with comedy, talent, dancing, lip syncing, anything like that. And they also have challenges that usually go along with it. So if you are a business who is looking to, or who's able to kind of keep up and be trendy, this is maybe something that would be really beneficial for you to do, to participate in challenges, to create challenges of your own, things like that. Worldwide, it's the 6th largest social media network. It hasn't had quite the explosive growth in the US as it has in some other places, like China and Japan and Korea, but it is anticipated that it's going to come in a big wave over to the US shortly. And even currently, it's seen a 375% growth in the US year over year. The users are typically ages 18 to 24. That's about 50% of their user base. But it's only utilized by 4% of marketers. So it's vastly underutilized, but is a growing network. So now is the time to get in on the ground floor. If these 18 to 20-year-olds or teenagers, or a little bit after 18 to 20 years old, if they're part of your market and your brand can support kind of being this goofy, trendy sort of brand, this may be something for you to look into right now. And then finally, I want to discuss some storytelling. Right now, people are looking for entertainment. They're looking for something that's going to make them feel good. A lot of people are on their phones a lot more, on their computers a lot more. So here's how you can do all this advertising and have a storytelling thread that goes through it. First off, stay on topic. Everybody's discussing COVID-19. And so if you are completely out of left field, not discussing it, don't have it as part of anything that is going on with your storytelling, it may not gather the traction that it could if you are staying consistent with the thread of conversation that's currently occurring. As you're doing this, make sure you're being sincere, make sure you're being compassionate. Everybody has their own thoughts, feelings, and opinions, as well as struggles they've been going through this. But make sure that you are aware that everybody has a different opinion of it, and that you're not isolating any of your consumers because of that. Provide glimmers of hope, because people are looking for distraction as well. Welcome distractions like the penguin at the zoo. I forget exactly which zoo, unfortunately, but they have the live cam going on it, and they're just killing people, cracking them up all the time. Doing something like that, giving back, like I said, reach out to local media if you have any sort of initiatives that are allowing you to do that. As well as stories of resilience. So this can be reaching out to consumers that your product may or may not have helped, but allowing them to share their stories and then connecting it back to your business, or providing them with assistance or help. Providing these stories of resilience are really going to resonate with people at this time. And finally, let your brand's core values lead. Make sure you're not kind of pulling in random things. Like Penguin at the Zoo is not going to be the advertising campaign for everybody. So make sure that you are following through with your brand's core values as well as core attributes, what you primarily do, and make sure it makes sense. And telling a story doesn't necessarily have to be telling a story as in has a story arc and everything. It can be something like this ad at the right, which says, let's not party, meet up, bro, hug, defy. Let's stay put, binge watch, video, happy hour, save lives. And then that's from the hashtag Alone Together campaign. So this tells a story. It tells you about the people they're targeting. It tells you about the people that they're talking to in this and who their target market is, as well as the things that they were doing, the things that they're recommending you do now, and being a source of encouragement for that. So even though this isn't necessarily telling a story through story arc kind of format, it's still a storytelling initiative and advertisement. So that concludes our presentation today. We have about 10 minutes available for discussion and chats. If you have any questions about the presentation thus far, or if you have any questions about how to utilize specific campaigns or how to best go about doing something, social media sites, anything like that, go ahead and put them out there if you're comfortable with that, to allow everybody to benefit from that information. So I'll hang out here for about 5 minutes to allow any of those to roll in. All right, so somebody asked if I could talk more about the avatar that I mentioned early on. Unfortunately, I did have to just kind of breeze past that, but what that goes back to is personifying your customer. So the way that I like to kind of describe it that makes the most sense to me is take all these attributes that your customers could have, throw out the outliers, and then look at what's left. When you have kind of these attributes that are left, whether they're demographic or attributes like what their motivations are, what they value, what they do with their time, once you have all this kind of information, or at least your perception of the information, if you aren't able to survey or do anything like that, then you can look and say, okay, do these all fit into one category, or do I have a few different categories? Maybe category one is going to be moms of middle-class families. Maybe another category is going to be businesses that can utilize my services. Maybe you have a third category. And once you have these different kind of general categories, generally 2 or 3 is appropriate, but you may have 1, or you may have more. Then once you have that boiled down a little bit more, then like I say, just stereotype it, because that's the best you can do when you're trying to create kind of a fit everybody kind of advertising model. And so maybe segment 1 you decide is like they said, solopreneur. I don't know why I have so much difficulty with that word. And so you boil down, what is it that they value? What is it that they do with their time? And then you build a person around it. And so you could go into great depth, like you could talk about what she has for breakfast and what she does with her time and what her schedule looks like for the day, or what she values, what her time is spent with family. Any information like that you can build around that. It can be as general as you want. It can be as specific as you want. The more specific you get, the more it's going to allow you to pretend like that avatar is a person. And once you can do that, then you're writing copy directly to that person. It's no longer talking out into the void of the internet and hoping that you catch some customers. It's now, okay, I'm talking to Sally the solopreneur, and this is what I'm going to tell her, and this is how she's going to react, and this is what she's going to do. And once you have it boiled down like that, then you can really get the ball rolling, and that way also it creates a consistent stream through your marketing. So if you're running 4 or 5 ads and you know you're targeting Sally with all of them, then you're not going to have messages that are all over the place that don't go together. They all are going to go together. They're all going to reinforce each other and reinforce the values that Sally has. Does that answer your question about the avatars? There's so much information about them. You can go so into depth with them, but it's a good practice, I believe. All right, great. Are there any other questions that have come up or that may be kind of mulling around in your minds? All right. Well, I just want to remind everybody then that we do offer at the KSBDC one-on-one advising. So if you have any questions that come up, if you want to really dive into creating some advertising campaigns or looking at what you want to do with your marketing, anything like that, feel free to contact us and we'll get an advising meeting set up for you. We'll get you in the system and everything. We are a no-cost service, prepaid with your tax dollars, and might as well use them. We're here to help you, and especially navigating some of the difficult circumstances that are coming up in this time. If you're interested in having these presentation slides, you can go ahead and email me at that email address that's on the screen, the ksbdcadvisor@wichita.edu. And then if you're interested in attending any of our other workshops that are coming up, like the one that's going on tomorrow or about cybersecurity, or on Thursday about the supply chain, then you can go ahead and go to our website and sign up through there. So I'll be around here. I'll hang out a little bit longer if anybody has any last minute questions, but this concludes the presentation otherwise. Thank you so much for joining today.